was about to say, that looks like curling iron.
Oh, it's curling wand. It's 100% that. And I'll sleep on it, and it'll be perfectly like tousled tomorrow.
Nice. Yeah, but I think the curling wand looks nice.
I like the curling wand better than the curling iron because I don't have to worry about the clamp.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because I am not coordinated. Enjoy that rant about curling wands.
Oh.
Hello.
Thanks for the warning, Izzy.
Well, hello there.
Hello there, listeners.
We can't hear you, Izzy.
Oh, God. How many fucking problems are we gonna have?
I muted it, so if it randomly kicked back on, we wouldn't have echo feedback. Fun times.
That was smart.
Oh,
so maybe you did warn us, and then we just didn't hear it.
Almost certainly.
Probably did. I don't know.
Sure.
Oh, technical difficulties. They're the best.
All right. Blake,
this one has been plagued with it.
All right. So after we discussed Christian themes of this book and noticing them or not, which may or may not have made it into the recording, who knows?
We shall see.
It's been banned, which is this like cracks me up kind of that it's been banned for being too Christian and insufficiently Christian.
Yeah.
What are your guys' thoughts on this?
So a bit of background on that, just in case you guys want it.
Yeah,
atheists hate it and agnostics hate it for being too Christian. Evangelicals and conservative Christians hate it for not being Christian enough and not being too explicit, more explicit with the Christianity that it uses.
I don't feel like it's so Christian that it's punching you in the face with it. Like, it's, yes, it's Christian, or it's at least, religious, definitely Christian. But it's not like if you're not Christian, you can't enjoy the story, which, some stories are kind of like that. If you're not really in, it's kind of uncomfortable to read. But this one wasn't like that at all. Yes, that's a really good example.
Which one?
Hated that book more than my own
The Shack.
face.
What book are you talking about?
The Shack. Oh my God, it's so bad. Anyway, that's not time for that rant. But no, it was just like, okay, good versus evil is a concept well beyond Christianity.
Yeah.
And therefore not hard to appreciate or enjoy despite some references to Christianity.
Right,
Sorry, go ahead.
I feel like if they would have which one is she? Mrs. Who quotes from so many diverse sources, and the Bible is just one of them.
Yes.
So I feel like from a too Christian perspective, it's like, well, even if you don't believe the Bible is like the actual word of God, you still say like it is a work from which people can quote about good and evil.
Yeah, and the whole reason she's using quotes is because that's her best way of communicating. And she uses quotes in other languages and from other sources. So yeah, it didn't strike me as like uncomfortably weird.
Honestly, I mentioned this in the part that may or may not be recorded, but there are certain like America has lots of like just kind of ambient Judeo-Christian ideology kind of floating around, and I think it's reasonable to expect at least like some passing knowledge of like Judeo-Christian themes and like what's what with that, and being able to use them in your work of fiction or work of art or something like that. And that's why I feel like personally weird, because like I know I'm missing some of them because I've never done church, period. Like, so I think it's, I don't think it's so Christian that like a normal person, like a person who lives in a normal part of the United States or in honestly most Western countries, is gonna feel like, oh no, this is too much, or there's just not enough here. Yeah.
Yeah. Not Christian enough. I guess I can see if you wanted more Christianity in your story. There isn't that much.
Yeah, I can see that one more than I see
banning it.
But banning it. Like, this is a problem I have with banning. I mean, I have a lot of problems with banning as
maybe just
obviously.
Yeah.
Oh, just ban it.
If you don't want to read a book, just don't.
Yeah.
Read it. I don't understand this impulse of there's a thing I don't like in this book, so I don't want anybody to read it at all.
But honestly, the children, Ness, the children.
This book
honestly,
is
children could learn a lot from this book.
They really could.
Regardless of what faith, if any, that they have.
Yeah. It's not taking away from Christianity by existing and being read. I've never understood the concept of banning.
No.
Well, and like there are plenty of studies that prove that reading books about cultures that are not yours teach you empathy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So if you're not Christian, or it has a different Christianity than you have, like, maybe read it and stop being a closed-minded bigot a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Well, we're talking about like it's hugely Christian. It's really not.
No,
Like,
it's
all
not.
of us miss
That's the
it,
thing,
so-
right?
there were a
Yeah.
couple like lead weight moments where it's just like, yeah, actually I wrote down one thing where I figured out like, how the fuck did I miss this? I'll just have to accept it, and I'll just have to accept it without understanding it. Like, from my perspective on the outside, it's like, accept it without, I was like, oh, this is within like the first like chapter.
It's like about faith.
Oh, okay. So we're already hitting the faith part, but that there's more faiths in Christianity, and then they straight hit like Jesus and
Well,
things
and
like that.
that to me, I mean, the science, they talk about that with science too, that there's,
Yes.
it's not just a faith
Yeah.
thing.
No,
You know,
this
like-
isn't the Left Behind series. Let's put it that
Right,
way.
exactly. And it's
Also,
very pro-science. The whole
Yeah.
book is very
Super pro-science.
Which is interesting for the 1950s and 60s, which is like how they treated, you know, the relationship between faith and science very differently, I think, than we do it now. Where we treat,
Definitely.
I think we treat it a lot more like a war these days.
Yeah. For sure.
I don't know. It's just weird to me to think
Oh.
that it was banned for being like too Christian, because I did not feel.
Although I guess if you don't want any Christianity in your literature at all, then it would be too Christian.
Which is
Well, then I couldn't
stupid.
read,
But
That's-
like,
you can't
almost
read
anything.
anything.
Right.
yeah, then you can't read
At least anything Western.
anything published in Western society. Atheists, shut the fuck up. You'll be fine.
They will. They'll survive.
Like, we will be fine.
Also,
Okay.
stop banning books, everyone.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, just don't ban them.
Pretty
Really?
much. Just don't ban books. It's dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to your children instead.
What? No. No. Easy solution. Okay. So I'm going to butcher this. Does anyone know how to say the planet's name?
Camazotz?
Camazotz? Is that it?
We'll go with it.
Sounds close.
Camazotz. It's a metaphor for communism?
Yes.
Slash
Yeah.
dash.
I mean,
That was a thing that didn't hit me when I read it as a kid, but I can 100%
Me neither.
see it now.
yeah.
And honestly, right away when I was reading it, it didn't completely hit me either. But then when they started talking about like the idea of just like killing people because like they're not useful, I was like, oh, that's intense.
The central agency that you have to go to.
Yeah.
Oh God, is Ness gone now?
No, she's here.
Just a picture. There we go.
Yeah, I never would have noticed that, but I didn't know enough about communism as a kid to recognize it.
Well, this book was written in the 50s and 60s. It's like peak Cold War.
Right. It's like a really good time of
This is
of
a good
life
time to
for
teach
that.
teach the children's about proper Western values of individualism and. you know,
Yes.
See, I feel like it's much more a propagation of like 1950s Western values than
Yes.
of Christianity.
Yes.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Which in some cases is it is pretty heavy-handed, and I'm
the
like,
nuclear family.
you
and all
know,
that,
yeah.
But I mean, you have
But-
to remember, this is written for a 4th grade level.
right, and of that era, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so yeah, like there's
So I'm just going to
there's
seem
no mention
heavy-handed
of-
because you kids need a little more heavy-handed
Yeah,
than adults
right.
do.
Mm-hmm.
I
Definitely.
appreciate it myself. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Same.
All right, here it goes. It's gonna be a
I'm with you,
throwdown, I
Izzy.
think.
I'm with
Let's
you.
go.
We got.
Right,
We'll be fine.
I'm less. I'm like more towards
Yeah.
them though. I'm almost in the middle of you two.
Oh, then
if
I'll
that
take
makes
Amelia
you.
sense.
and I are going
I'll
to
take
be
you.
Ryder and Drac punching everybody.
Yeah, we are. We're ready to go. Let's do this.
And I'll just be in the middle, like, ooh.
I only have one.
Well, think
I'm
about
ready,
it. I don't.
ready to rumble.
I don't start fights.
Wait, let
I'm like,
let Izzy read the question.
Yeah.
before we start
So,
talking about it.
Meg, our beautiful main character, is she a good character? An afterthought? Well-rounded. Essentially Meg from Family Guy.
Oh.
Did she feel younger than... Oh, we'll start there. Let's start there, and then we'll do the last part.
No,
So-
because Meg from Family Guy is okay. She's abused as hell and has no personality. I hate that show so much, you guys.
Same.
Oh yeah, no, it's a terrible fucking show. But in terms of just like the one that kind of like gets the short end of the stick.
I didn't
all
think
the
so. I
time.
thought she was.
I did not
incredibly
perceive her mother as or her family as abusive to her. I perceived
No,
her family
not at
as
all.
very loving and kind to her
Yes.
and valued her, and that she had a unique sense of self. she just struggled with it, like lots of normal people do.
Like
Yeah.
14-year-old girls do, yes.
What?
I also thought she, not the unique sense of self part, but maybe her drive to find her father.
Yeah. Oh,
No.
shit.
Dang it.
I was really interested in what she had to say about that.
I know, because it did make her seem
Come
mad.
back,
What
come
were you
back.
going to say?
There you
Izzy,
go.
you're blinking.
Talking about the drive to find her
Ah!
father, but then nothing else after that.
Okay, I was saying her drive to like find her dad and like have her dad back in her life, I think made her annoying in a lot of ways, right?
Yep.
But I can't deny that that wouldn't be how a 14-year-old would act either in that situation.
Yeah. I think what got to me was that whenever she would have her like, guys, come on, this is time to find dad. We need to fix this shit. She would get like, yeah, later, honey, by the other two children. Like it felt very much like she was just kind of getting brushed aside a lot of the time, and she never. But it's also a product of the times. It is.
And how women are treated?
Yeah. It was a
Yeah.
product, yeah, and it was a product of like, yeah, so the older boy is here, and then there's Charles Wallace, who is fucking magic, and are you sure he's not Jesus?
Yes.
Okay. No, a genuine question.
Like 100% sure.
I'm 100% sure he's not Jesus as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys will tell me which one is Jesus, right?
I think Jesus is Jesus in this
I don't
particular
think
Yeah.
Jesus
This
is
is not C.S. Lewis. Nobody is a metaphor for Jesus.
Okay, so they didn't just like, okay, so there was Jesus, but then there's Jesus again?
If you need a metaphor, it is the metaphor for Satan.
Oh, that one I got, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
No, even I can fucking figure that out.
No, but what I
So-
like about Meg is that she didn't let herself get brushed to the side. She would say, you know what? I don't care about this cosmology. I need to go get my dad. Like I have a practical concern and a practical need.
Right.
I liked that about her.
And she did that with Charles Wallace too. Like when he is missing at the end, she's like,
Yeah.
I'm terrified of this. I don't want to go, but I'm the only one who can do it. Please stop talking about it. I need to go now.
That
Yeah.
I really appreciated off of her.
Yeah.
But it was like I just wanted. Okay, so here's where I kind of revealed that my initial impressions were that Madeleine L'Engle did not really want to write about Meg Murray. She wanted to write a book about Charles Wallace. Like, I always got the impression that Meg was just this kind of like cipher who's around for the ending where curses have been defeated by the power of love. And Charles Wallace was the real main character. Because Charles Wallace drives the story.
Oh, I disagree with that 100%.
See, I feel like a lot of it is like a lot of the story is reactive to either what Charles Wallace is doing or eventually to what Mr. Murray is doing. Charles Wallace is the one who kind of like sets the pace at some point. Charles Wallace is the one who, you know, kind of establishes the dynamic between all of them. He's the one that finds the three witches. He's the one that insists, no, we're going to listen to these three witches. We're going to go do all this shit. It's fine. It's fine. Charles Wallace says it's fine. So really, it felt like even though Meg definitely had like an agenda, she had things that she wanted to accomplish, but it all kind of seemed to take a backseat to what Charles Wallace wanted to do. And then once Charles Wallace wasn't there, it was backseat to what her dad wanted to do.
Interesting. I find that to be a good representation of the patriarchy.
Yes, and also extremely representative of the 1950s. Like none of this is the fault of Meg. Again, I might be completely overlooking an aspect of this book that just didn't like penetrate my brain. But this is just, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think it may just be overlooking the things that Meg did or not seeing them in the same light as the things that Charles Wallace and even Calvin did. I think a lot of her thing was keeping herself and her brother and Calvin focused on what their actual objective was.
Well, she was like the not magical one, right? She was the one. Calvin had sort of a special thing. Charles Wallace is obviously super magical. And she has nothing but like nothing.
Her stubbornness and her impatience and her anger.
Yeah.
But did it ever seem like they were ever not gonna look for Mr. Murray? Did it ever seem like they were not gonna go back and get Charles Wallace?
No, but if you're 14, you're going to get impatient. That was
And you're
totally
gonna be
believable
worried
to
about
me.
Well,
Yes,
and
no, that made absolute
I
sense.
think the witch's agenda, like if Charles Wallace and Calvin would have had their way, they would not have gone for the dad as soon as they did. Because
Yeah.
they both
Really?
wanted to go do other stuff before they went and looked for the dad.
Yeah. And she was like, no.
She's like, we're here for one reason. Let's go do that thing that we want to do.
Yeah. And it was her impatience that pushed it and
Yeah.
it was necessary.
And
Yeah.
without her, they don't get the dad back because she's the one with the
Right.
glasses and she's the one who, despite Charles Wallace being a little evil, tiny evil child, and Calvin being like, no, we need to know more information before we dive in. She's like, fuck it. I'm putting the glasses on. I'm getting my dad.
Yeah, I'm just going
Right
in. See you
Right
guys
this
later. Just like, I love her. She's like, I don't care.
It was, you know, a lot of the book was all about her self-discovery
Yeah.
in that way too.
What
Right.
did
So I don't think the Meg at the beginning of the book would have been strong enough to go against two other people saying,
got it.
you
Okay.
shouldn't do this thing right now. I think she would have been like, okay, you won't.
That was
Yeah.
pretty
She would
early
have
in the
sulked
book that
about
she.
But I don't think she would have done it.
Well, and I put later too in the questions, when she does go get her dad, she has to fight him too.
Yeah.
You know, she has to convince him that the way he's thinking is wrong and that he doesn't understand Charles Wallace the way she does because he barely knows him.
Mm.
Which, so she's fighting against all the dudes. That's maybe why I like her.
Right?
Maybe.
Like her superpower isn't being able to understand other people or being able to communicate with other people. Like it's very normal. Her superpower is having relationships with people. Right?
Well, that and being really good at math. But yeah.
And being really
Yeah.
good at math. But like that math thing barely comes in to play.
Yeah, and she's like, compared to Charles Wallace, I'm still an idiot.
Right.
I'm just really good. You know? So
Yeah, because God forbid Charles Wallace not be the bestest, most specialist
he is a
at all the
specialist.
things.
That's for sure.
Okay.
I think maybe I just hated Charles Wallace too much.
Oh, I
It's
think
possible.
he's so adorable.
Might
so
have been the
sweet.
case.
It
So-
Well,
was just,
that ties into the next question then. Oh man.
yeah.
Well, hold
Good
on.
segue.
It was like a beautiful segue.
Do you think Meg was felt or
Okay.
read younger than 14?
I did
think
not
she
think
was
she
like
was
perfectly
14.
14.
The first time I read it again last year, I was like, God, she feels like she's in upper elementary school or middle school. To me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
middle school is where
I-
I would have.
I was thinking
Yeah.
like 13-ish, so I guess to me to stretch to
12.
14.
And, you know, there are kids at 14 that aren't quite
Yeah.
grown yet. It
Yeah.
all depends on when puberty hits. It's a tough few years.
Yeah. Poor Meg.
All right,
Yeah.
on to our someone's hatred.
I
Shield ourselves. Is
I'm-
Charles Wallace a Mary Sue?
Yes, but I don't think that's a bad thing.
Mhm.
I thought he killed any momentum that the plot had. Like any kind of discovery that the children could have, that the other characters could have made, any kind of growth and, you know, discovery that they could have made by themselves. I think it was just like, oh wait, no, Charles Wallace knows what to do. Never mind, we'll just listen to Charles Wallace. It was too easy. He made some stuff too easy.
Least
Like, instead of
believable
having to-
5-year-old, by the
Oh,
Well,
way.
he's
yeah.
not supposed to be a believable 5-year-old though.
Yeah.
Purpose as a character.
No.
Well,
There
Eric-
are other
I know.
things too besides his intelligence, like his empathy level. The fact that he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna make my mom this sandwich." I was like, "Bullshit."
It was an
That's the whole
absolutely
thing, like-
disgusting sandwich, but
Like it's
I mean
what she
that a
wanted.
5-year-old would do.
Yeah,
It's
a
what she
5-year-old
wanted.
would not likely offer it. He would make it for you, but to have enough empathy to know that's what you need right there, that is some next level empathy.
But
Or
he's
the
not-
milk? Could
he's
not
not
cook
a
like
normal
any of that.
5-year-old.
He's
Yeah,
not
he's
supposed
quite
to either.
clearly a magical
No,
being.
I
Right.
thought
They
that
say that he is becoming something new. Like he is not
Yeah.
like normal humans.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
He's a
think
mutant.
my problem with Charles Wallace was that he made certain parts of the book too easy. Like instead of learning why they should trust the witches, they just do because Charles Wallace says like just trust these people. All right, fine.
Except Meg continues not really to trust them until they prove themselves.
yeah.
But at the same time, she still hops on pearlescent centaur elf Pegasus and goes flying to an evil dimension and also sniffs a flower that somehow
But what choice did she have? At that point, they'd already kidnapped her and brought her to another
Basically,
universe. Like, where else?
Trust me now, or
Where was she going to
yeah.
go? If
I'm
not,
not going. As
Yeah, what is
opposed
she
to
going to
just
say?
sitting
No,
down.
I'm just going to sit here in this grass and listen to this music and not go anywhere when she
Yeah.
knows she's near her dad. Mm-mm.
yeah.
I don't know. It's just there could have been something more. There could have been more opportunities for Meg to really put her foot down or demand something more. And I think Charles Wallace was just a little too easy a plot device. Also, he was just really fucking creepy. Really fucking creepy. Imagine a child, a 5-year-old child, speaking like this.
I think it's
creepy.
adorable and precocious, and I love kids that are like too wise for their years. I love that plot device.
I mean, there's too wise for your years, and then there's also being like, I believe you when you say he's not Jesus. I believe you. But I feel like, at least in one draft, he was Jesus. At least one draft.
I hear what you're saying. So. He does have a lot of magical powers. And he is not a normal person.
And he's super and all you have to do is trust in Charles Wallace, and you will get where you need to be.
But that's kind of a powerful thing, too, that he is not normal. He is special. Everyone knows he's special. And Meg is kind of the not special of the family, right? But she has to go rescue him because even he was fooled by, basically Satan. It's a very powerful message. And, no matter how magic and special you are, you can still be taken in by evil.
And your own dumb pride.
Yep.
Yeah. Charles Wallace is a lesson in pride.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He thought he knew more than the witches, right? Because they told him, your arrogance will be your downfall. And he's like, nah, guys, I can totally withstand.
Like, yeah, I got this. I'm so good.
Okay. I have something big for Calvin. So let me know when you guys have...
So ready.
You ready? Calvin, the best or best? I think he was adorable.
I think Calvin was a sweetie pie.
I want to save him.
Young swoony, like the best kind of like young swoony love right there.
Mm-hmm.
Just the best.
Also, like the popular good-looking kid is like also a misfit. Oh my god, best.
Right?
Yeah. Favorite trope.
Yeah.
If that's a trope. I don't know if that's even a trope, but
it is. It totally is.
It is.
Yeah.
So, I did some thinking that kind of ruined Calvin as a character for me.
Then why would you tell us this? We've just said we love him. Why would you ruin him?
It only ruined it for me because I have no heart in this matter. So it's a literary thing, and I think something very of the times. So, okay. Remember when we look in on his name is Calvin O'Keefe. He's got red hair, green eyes, and freckles. It's the 1950s. In the 1950s, Italian and Irish people, Catholics basically, were still like the Diet Coke of white privilege. So Irish equaled weird at the time, especially Catholic Christianity was especially weird. Calvin is, I worry, like kind of a stealth dig at Catholic families because his unbelievably awful, abusive, hideous mother has like a bajillion kids. I think there's drunkenness in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And he really only truly finds his home when he leaves that family behind and goes to the fantastically waspy Murrays.
Yeah. That's true.
So I think this is like some old-timey, outdated culturalism. Because the different branches of Christianity are very, very different, and they have very different feelings about each other. I have the most experience with Catholicism, but even that's like... So I think the way she constructed Calvin here, I think she was trying to say something about a certain group of people in 1950s society, which would have been, like, it still would have been a weird group of people back in the 1950s and 60s.
A minority.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
interesting.
Yeah.
It was a shitty family, that's for sure.
It was cartoonishly shitty family.
Definitely.
Yeah. So did I send everybody back to the text?
No, I'm actually looking to see if there's been any scholarship on this idea.
Yeah, I'm actually very curious about that.
There has to be. All right, I'm going to the databases.
Sorry, I feel like
she's going in.
I'm doing the grad school today.
Oh my god, did I find something?
It's an interesting idea for sure. It's not something that occurred to me, but
well, this is.
I don't live in that world, right?
Like, this is the shit that my family still bitches about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
the Joyce family.
The way I was brought up. Yeah.
Yeah, the Joyce family still complains about shit like this. My father still remembers laughably being the diversity hire back in his early Wall Street days.
Interesting. That's really interesting. I mean, he is pretty clearly Irish, or at least like.
Oh, Faith McGorder, Calvin O'Keefe, one of like 14 children.
Yeah, and the
12.
and the
Let's not exaggerate. It's 12 children.
Okay, yeah. Because 13 would be unlucky. That is true.
Yeah, you'd have to really turn around that 14th after that 13th one.
Yeah.
See, I don't know. Like my family, Irish, like this Irish side of my family was not really alive anymore when I was little, so I never got to hear the. But they also moved to the Midwest, so I don't think it was as bad in the Midwest.
I don't know. This is my side of the family is from New York, and let's bring this up. The reason why they still bitch about it is supposed to say like, oh, well, anybody can make it in America. Remember back in, but like, fuck that. It's not true. Objectively not true.
No, I know. I'm trying to think. Like, I don't feel like I ever heard stories from my Irish family. My grandma was like 100%, but.
Well, and in that case, the story sort of smacks of the white savior trope, like, I'm going to rescue you from your terribleness. And
basically, yeah. And he's like, wow, it's like I feel at home right away.
I think maybe it didn't ping me as much because it
is like, a corner case if it's real, if it's there.
Yeah, no, I totally
I think it's there.
I think it's a good point.
Ness is like on the dive.
I am.
I think we've all been the kid who's like the smart kid in a room full of people who aren't into reading or aren't into intellectual stuff. And that's a really uncomfortable place. Yeah. And I suspect that's what I identified with more than any of the other. And I know that's my privilege to have not
I was seeing that. Oh, I was seeing that too. But then I really didn't click until we looked in on Calvin's family. And I was like,
that's really interesting.
Huh. Because I actually did, one of my papers in college was about the fungibility of white privilege and basically following back the experience of the Irish in America to the point where they did get promoted to actual white people. It was in the 1960s during the civil rights movement when suddenly they were running out of traditional white Anglo-Saxon Protestant white people. They needed to build up their voting base. And it's easy to start with the Italians and the Irish and
they're practically white.
Yeah, no, they're practically. I mean, that guy's a little tan. That one's weirdly ginger. It's fine. It's fine.
Oh, that's funny. Interesting.
That one's weirdly translucent.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should move on, and then Ness, if you find anything, we can come back to it.
Yeah, I'm not finding anything, but I'm seeing it.
I just broke new ground. I don't.
Or it's not a thing.
Or well, really? Do you think I would be happy to talk to you?
It's certainly you can certainly perceive it that way.
Right. I'm saying it may not be a purposeful thing that she was trying to do there.
Maybe, but we've all got background programming. Is the thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Would you trust the random old lady is living in the haunted house?
Fuck no!
She just shows up in that house like, hi guys, I'm in your house now.
Yeah, I'm in your house now. Follow me on a magical adventure. No, Charles Wallace, go the fuck upstairs.
I mean, he basically just let a hobo into the house and then took her shoes off.
Madeleine Longo is Catholic. Though.
Is she?
Yes.
Interesting.
Okay. So weird.
It still doesn't say she's not like prejudiced against the Irish people.
But I'm saying it
might have been.
Catholicism.
Oh, that's
or
interesting.
Maybe it was just like a tropey thing.
She did spend some of her childhood in France and in the Swiss Alps, though, and then they moved back to America.
Yeah.
Sort of just a privilege blindness thing.
And there are just a shit ton of different variations on Catholic, too. Italian Catholic is very different than a Spanish Catholic church, is very different than an Irish Catholic church.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
Anyways, no, I wouldn't trust these random old ladies that are living in this haunted house stealing sheets from people.
Fuck no. You turn around. Stranger danger.
The fact that the mom was like, oh, well, Charles Wallace says she's okay, so I guess you can come into my house. I was like,
fucking nuts. Charles Wallace
either mom knows that Charles Wallace is a magical being or this is crap. But
magical being who is not technically
you just have to buy in the magical being part, and then everything makes sense.
Which, like,
you just have to buy in.
Yep.
You do. I know you
clearly the mom bought it.
I'll just have to accept it without understanding it.
Yes, you will. Take it on faith.
I'm not good at that, and honestly, I've never been good at that.
No, I would not let my children play with witches in a haunted house. I'd be like, I'm sorry, what?
So it's one of those like, all right, I feel vindicated for my old self. I'm like, yeah, you get like 20 years older and it still doesn't fucking make sense. All right, cool. Fist pound, little me. Doesn't make it a bad book. It just means it's confusing to me.
my like favorite thing about the witches / crazy old ladies was that they became guardian angels. But
So
like
they were angels, right?
They were
guardian
stars.
angels.
Okay. They were
made of stars. They were a star that
But they were
became
guardian angels.
corporeal.
Some more than others.
Okay, but
Yeah.
were they also
Became partially corporeal.
angels?
But so that's like age-wise, they're very, very, very old. Maybe it was her way of saying this is what angels are.
I think it was.
Okay.
Because we never see what their actual forms are.
Yeah, they
Like,
just take the form of whatever planet they're on because they're actually stars.
Meaning elf centaur Pegasus per legend
Right.
being?
And they're really
This
sad
is the
that
cover
they can't
I
be
remember,
close
by the
anymore.
way.
I think that's a more common
the cover
one.
I remember too.
Yeah, no, this is 90s-tastic. I have the other books in the series too. Because my mom probably just saw me
I
reading
had
this
even
one.
a different. I remember it even as a kid. It was a little white book. I remember. But yeah, they were. I think they were stars, and I think maybe they were like. I think that was her maybe saying this is what humanity thinks. When they think of angels, this is what they're thinking of.
Mm.
And probably on some planet they're an angel.
Yeah. But I just love that they were like super spooky old ladies that turn into being like pseudo guardian angels.
And they're like thieving.
Yeah.
I will say that
Thieving
Mrs.
old
Witch
lady
was pretty
star
cool. She's like, I don't have time for your bullshit.
Yeah. I cannot wait for that in the movie. I can't wait.
I will come in as radio static.
Yeah.
Ness, do you have anything?
I guess the thing that I liked most about them, vis-a-vis being angels, is that like nobody really understands them,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not all like sweetness and light all the time.
No.
Like
No.
Mrs. Witch is not here for your shit.
No, she's really not. She got no time
See?
for this.
See, I liked one. I did like her. I liked the cut of her jib.
So I like that like as beings beyond our understanding, they're not all the two-dimensional idea that we have of what angels might be.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the angels will give you a kick in the ass if that's what you need.
Yeah, guarding.
I
doesn't just
really
mean,
like that about them.
being-
Yeah.
Okay.
Blech.
Aunt Beast and Beast People, a metaphor for what?
Good question.
This was another one where I was just like, fucking what?
Where they have tentacles coming out of everywhere.
Like,
But they were like soft smooshies.
They were squishies, right? Like they were the most
big,
horrifying
smooshy, furry
looking
teddy bears.
things,
they were
Yeah.
goofballs.
but the sweetest of them all.
Why were they there though?
Why
Because
not?
because he tested badly.
Okay.
Right.
he
You
landed
needed
them there.
somebody to take the evil out of Meg, or else she would have died.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they tested off to a place where everybody's really nice and they've been fighting the evil.
By accident.
Okay.
Not
Yeah.
fighting by accident. They tested there by
No,
accident.
yeah. They tested their by accident, but it was like
They
a
got
good
lucky.
planet.
Yeah.
It was sort of like a foil for the bad planet, right?
Yeah.
Good planet, everybody's weird looking, but really nice.
Right. So like
I
not
just-
even this whole system is bad. There's a bad
Yeah.
planet in it, and then there are other planets resisting
Okay.
bad.
Like I will
Right.
say, like by the time we hit the, by the time we're like taking Dad out of a crystal prison, I was just like, fuck it, fine. Like
Yeah, see, buy in.
everything-
That's what you need. Buy in.
everything. No, I didn't buy in. I just said I'm never gonna understand this, so like let's just keep letting this happen. Like, yeah, sure, fucking kooshball beasts. Okay, sure, fine. Oh, okay, they're friendly. That's great.
They're healer people.
Sure.
So I kind of thought they were a metaphor for like not everything being what it seems and not judging a book by its cover sort of situation.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't judge people by their looks, all that fun stuff.
Well, just that concept that not everything is like, so on the mean planet, everything was beautiful and orderly and perfect. And on this planet that's actually nice and beautiful, everything is weird looking and kind of freaky,
Yep.
right? So it's like this nice sort of, you can't tell what's good or bad by looking at it.
Mhm.
Or
Right, I
by,
think I like that because they can see, right? Like they keep saying how vision is so limiting that they keep talking
Yes.
about what it looks like instead of what it is.
Right,
Mhm.
right. Yeah.
I really
Yeah.
And Aunt Beast was all, I'll go with her. I know I can't, but I just
Like,
wanted
I
her
just
to know that
met
I would.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, dang, got attached quick.
Yeah, beast. Beautiful.
So sweet.
They're the best.
Yeah.
Okay. Mom, Miss Murray. Too chill or like just shitty parenting?
She knew
I mean,
Charles
those are all-
Wallace was magic. I don't know.
How about neither?
Both?
Neither?
Very into her work.
Yeah.
Deeply
Possibly to the
unrealistic.
detriment of her parenting on some level,
Mm-hmm.
but not a bad person or unloving mom.
I mean, I have to
No.
wonder how any of us would react if our partner was suddenly gone.
And Tessered, incidentally.
Like,
Yeah,
you don't
I know.
You don't know if they're coming back, so you've got this
Right.
kind of unending grief all the time, but you've got to project a positive attitude for your kids so that they don't
Mhm.
freak out.
Also,
And
Charles
you know
Wallace will
you're
make sure it's okay.
a pariah because, like, that was another big
Right.
theme that to me
Yeah.
in this day and age was like, okay, but at the
But in the
time
60s
was a
was a
really
big
big
deal.
deal.
Yeah.
Like, where's your man? You're alone. He left you. Oh, and they're big like town weirdos now.
Well, and
Yeah.
not even your man left you. You won't even admit that your man left you.
Right. So she had it bad. She had it hard. And I think if anything, she was just a little too obsessed with her work, which is understandable because she wanted to get her husband back
Mm-hmm.
and would like maybe benignly neglect at times the kids. But granted, her kids are amazing, so they did okay.
Yeah, Charles Wallace is a fully self-sustaining 5-year-old. So
He's a magical being. He's
Yep.
okay.
You're obsessed with Charles Wallace.
He makes her sandwiches. It's super convenient.
I'm gonna buy you Charles Wallace fan art.
Okay, have you ever seen The Omen?
Oh yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, because this is what I think of when I think of Charles Wallace. This tiny, dead-eyed child of the corn. Except he knows everything and knows how you're feeling.
Charles Wallace is not blonde. Artist of that book cover.
No.
He's explicitly not blonde in the book.
We should name it Charles Wallace Book Club. Okay, moving on. I'm sorry, I have to rush you guys along because I have to get out of here pretty soon.
Okay. Sibling relationships, accurate or forced?
I feel like pretty accurate, although a little nicer than usual, right?
I felt
I
like
mean,
it was such a mix in a good way.
Yeah, because the relationship with the twins was, I mean, the twins are horrid.
Yeah,
They're siblings.
yeah.
Which
Maybe that comes out more in other books too, because I feel like there's books with the twins.
Mhm.
There are, because
Maybe.
it's like a quartet of
A
books.
quintet, I think. I think there's 5.
An
Oh, is
increasingly inaptly named trilogy.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's right.
But I mean, they were awfully nice to each other. But
I mean, he is
in the
5.
situation where you're going to rescue your dad, you are totally going to bond together as siblings.
Right.
You know? So
Well, she already loved Charles Wallace with all of her heart.
yeah. Well, you have to. He's a
'Cause
magical
Charles Wallace
being.
is special.
He's a magical being.
He made her cocoa.
So-
Come on.
Okay, his eyes are
Special.
freaking me out.
He's
He
just
did make
super
her
blurry at
cocoa.
this point. So
He made her cocoa on the stove because that's the thing they did in the 60s.
Yeah, that's what you
That's
let
awesome.
5-year-olds do. Use a
Yeah.
stove.
Look, he's
Okay.
magic. He can do whatever he
My
wants.
dad was using a stove when he was like 3 or 4.
My kid was using the stove at 5. He's always been really into cooking, but I was standing right there. I didn't
Yeah,
just.
that's-
No, my dad was without supervision because he had not the best.
Yeah.
Hey, you
Anyway.
gotta eat, right?
Okay, interesting pair with Handmaid's Tale in many ways, and is this a kid's version of anti-fascism?
Or totalitarianism.
Or
you could say.
totalitarianism.
I think there's some concepts that cross over with it.
I do too.
You know,
yeah.
so-
It was so obvious that even I knew it was Satan.
yeah, and sort of just like the domineering, all-powerful being that wants everything to be like what he wants, with no room for anybody else's ideas.
Yeah. I do think this would be like, I'm excited. I haven't watched the show yet, but I'm kind of excited to have just read this and start watching the show here soon.
Ooh, I can't watch the 3rd episode. I got spoiled for it, and what happens in the 3rd episode didn't happen in the book, and it's more horrifying. And I haven't been able to bring
Cool.
myself to watch it yet.
I
know
haven't
that
started it
can't
because I
watch
wanted to
it. I'll be
wait
too sad.
until it was caught up.
It's really
Until I
good.
could watch it all.
It's really amazing. Like,
I plan to watch it with interspersed with episodes of Yuri on Ice.
I think you have to.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
intense. It's as intense as you'd expect.
I mean, yeah.
Just the
expecting
visual the second episode is the birth, the Janice birth. And the visual, the way they show the wives and then the hammock, like it haunts me.
Okay, okay.
But this is like, I love that this is like baby's first Handmaid's Tale.
I really think it is.
Yeah.
I think it would be an interesting like book pairing to do a book or something like that. I just think.
I want to go do a blind book date with these two together.
Yes. Totally.
Wrap them up in brown bag and put a little, you know.
Would love it. And I'd love to see people's first reactions to it. You know?
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Here are the reasons everything that's happening now is bad.
Yeah. Yeah. So it as a villain, I totally for a minute was like, this better not be a fucking clown.
She came first. She did it first.
That's right.
She did do it first.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
I mean, calling it in 2 capital letters, I'm like, that actually translates pretty well to how you like think about.
It's very possible that he borrowed from her. He borrows from a lot of artists that he really likes, so it's very possible. But it was a very scary villain, in my opinion. Yeah. Pretty terrifying.
He takes everything that you are.
Yeah.
That to make you better.
And he's vast enough to darken worlds upon worlds. And to fight him is very hard because what he offers is so
I can't hold this anymore.
Right?
I wonder how long until you tire out.
I mean, it's obviously
scary, I tried to go to the end. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, definitely scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was terrifying.
The idea that the Earth is still in question is just...
Would it be too... I don't know. Do you think that maybe it is too amorphous to really feel... Because that's kind of how I was like... I'm like... I get that it's supposed to be because I'm a grown-ass woman. I can be like, oh no, it's the broader concept of, you know, losing your individuality, losing agency, all this stuff. But
the encroachment of fascism and totalitarianism. Yeah,
but I didn't know what totalitarianism was when I was like 9 or 10.
No, but I bet you kids of that era were terrified. That was the era of nuclear drills, right, in school and the Cuban Missile Crisis. So it's not like they weren't familiar with the feeling of impending doom at that time.
And I think that amorphous kind of evil where you don't know where it's coming from would have really resonated with kids from that era because
it resonated with me, quite honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's what they lived under.
Yeah. Hide under your desk so you don't get blown to shit.
Which would have been super effective against a nuke.
Yeah, totally.
Oh no, they all knew it was bullshit too. Now I was thinking more along the lines of like, is this a second Fantastic Four movie, Galactus being a tornado thing, or is it concrete enough that do kids have enough information that they can kind of piece together? And yeah, like I can't go back in time and figure that out for myself, but.
The idea of impending dread very much appealed to me as a little anxious child. I can tell you that. Appealed and terrified me. Yeah. Like that, I completely understood. I was born anxious. So that doom, that impending, it's darkening is just sort of a way that anxiety disorder people live their lives. So it's very familiar, I suspect, for me as a kid.
Well, and you have the corporeal thing to focus on that red-eyed man.
Right. There really isn't it.
The evil.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
Kids can do more than we give them credit for.
Yes.
This book continues to be read for a reason, right? Like, kids wouldn't keep reading this book if they couldn't understand it.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And did we cover the Meg and Dad conflicts?
I think when I asked about...
We did a little bit, yeah.
Do you want to go more in depth, or are you good?
No, it's fine. I just think it's important to mention that I really love it when kids conflict with their parents in literature for kids. I think it's just really important for kids to get that experience of parents being wrong.
Right, because Meg even says, like, she thought her dad was omnipotent, right? That finding him would be the solution to every problem, and it wasn't. And then
it's such a powerful growing up moment and a powerful independence building moment for kids to be like, oh, you're just a person, you know? Yeah, you're not a magical being like Charles was.
Right.
Not Jesus. Yeah. Sorry.
Not Jesus.
Okay. I believe you.
Do you like the wording I did of this question, Izzy?
Yeah. It was really great that we read this because like next year the movie's coming out
in March.
So March of 2018, the A Wrinkle in Time movie releases, and we get to experience it with a cast of color.
Really?
Tons of people of color, which is really exciting, and it's going to be fun. The people they cast so far look promising.
The Murrays are a biracial family.
Yeah,
Cool.
The kids are biracial kids, and the dad is Chris Pine, and the mom I forget, but Chris Pine sticks in my head.
Gugu Batha-Raw. What has she been in?
And the Mrs. What's It is played by Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah.
Mrs. Who is played by Mindy Kaling, which I can't wait to see her just quoting stuff.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. And Mrs. Witch is Oprah, which is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Like, amazing.
Yeah.
I'm betting they're going to be CG, though.
Well, for at least part of it, they're going to have to be.
Yeah. Oh, well, no.
I guess this is it.
Yes, I don't think that Reese Witherspoon is going to turn into a pearlescent elf centaur.
Would love to see that. I mean, we don't know.
Practical.
David Duvernay, so she can do whatever she wants.
Maybe she's actually a star being.
We don't know that.
Maybe.
She could be.
So,
Zach Galifianakis is in it. He's the happy medium. Yeah, what? Okay, can anybody explain the happy medium to me?
I don't
they
understand the
wanted to
question.
show the kids that the Earth was starting to fall under the dark.
Okay.
And that was how they did that.
Told them that?
They wanted them to see it, which I get.
That's more of an emotional impact.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can tell a kid that, or they can see it for themselves, and that is two really different.
Yeah,
And you can either write telling it or seeing it, and writing seeing it is a little more impactful.
True.
Show it. It's
True.
always better than telling.
Yep.
Plus, she was like the trash heap in Fraggle Rock. She's rad. So, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, she's fine. I liked her.
Aw, the kid that
then
they
she
made
falls
Charles
asleep.
Wallace is adorable.
Yeah,
Yes.
Super
So
cute.
So it's really, I'm sure,
Not that child on your cover.
I'm sure there's a lot of bullshit backlash to people being of color being in this movie.
Sure.
I think it's
I'm
amazing,
sure.
and I think it's going to really add depth to the story.
For sure.
That's important. It needs to be there. So I'm excited.
It does. I'm excited. I'm very excited. I was excited when they announced this was happening.
Same.
And I've only gotten more excited. So let's give our nuggets. Julia, how many nuggets?
4 nuggets.
Eris, how many nuggets?
I don't know if I'm really qualified to nugget this one. Like, I think
You're
too much went over my head.
You're allowed to have an opinion.
3.
You rated it on Goodreads.
3. Because, like, I mean, it's
All right.
Yeah, 3.
Okay.
Ness,
It's not
Still
a bad
5.
book.
Always
still
5.
5 here too. Always.
Yeah.
I know.
Can't not give it 5.
I'm with you. It's too magical. So next month is Ness's pick.
Oh yeah, Ness. It's
So I'm
time.
making a decision right now.
All right.
It's time.
I'm gonna go with what I said. We're gonna read 6 Wakes by Mur Lafferty,
Yay.
which is a locked room mystery with clones in space.
I love it.
I thought you
already.
might.
I love that
That
there's 6 of
is-
them, like Paranoia. That is amazing. By the
Yeah.
way. Like, I don't know if you guys have played Paranoia,
I
but
have.
you get 6 clones. So, I like that.
I have.
It's supposed to be amazing, so I'm excited.
I've always wanted to read a Paranoia novel, so hopefully it's similar. I look forward to it.
So what's it called? 6 Wakes?
6 Wakes. There's a link to it in our Twitter because it was on sale. It may still be.
It's not, unfortunately, and I did not buy it.
Aww.
It's in the library. No, it's not.
Curses.
I
There's
got
no
really
way it's
upset.
going to be
It's in
online.
the library.
Oh,
I'll
it's
probably
not
see
that
the
bad.
audiobook.
Oh, yeah, I do have that credit.
I do too, so I'm thinking
Aha.
it's my next audio. So yeah, we're gonna read that next month. I'm really excited. It's gonna be a shift, I guess, a little bit from A Wrinkle in Time.
Mm.
But we fulfilled a read harder challenge. Yay!
Probably not as, desperate a gear shift as the Hate You Give would have been.
We're gonna talk. Well, I guess we could just talk about it now. We were gonna read the Hate You Give by Angie Thomas, which is amazing, and everyone should actually read it. But as a group of white women, we are not the people who should be talking about this book. And there are plenty of people of color who have talked about why this book is amazing and needs to be read. And you should instead go read or watch what they have to say about it.
Yeah, but definitely read it.
It's amazing.
Definitely read it.
I read it all in one sitting in 4 hours.
Eris, you need to read it.
Punch you in the face.
I think that one actually is at my library. I'm not sure.
Even my library had it, which my library does not pick up anything
Awesome.
remotely like this. Everybody read it.
Cool. Well, I look forward to
Cool.
Clones. Very excited.
Yeah,
for
that
Clones.
sounds
Murder
right
Mystery
up my
Clones.
alley. I couldn't ask for more.
I read it. I was like, well, I can't think of a more Eris book.
Yay!
Murder Mystery Clones. So let's do it.
Let's do it.
And it's not
And
YA.
Eris, I don't know if you saw, my pick's going to be The Bone Witch by Rin Chupeco. So if it goes on sale again, keep an eye on it.
Cool.
Yeah.